Hello and welcome back to the Kitchen Table Modelers Workshop. My name's Ian and this is my kitchen table modelling setup, although it's not on the kitchen table, but never mind. So what have we got for you today? Well, if you look on the desk here, you can see that I have the new kit release from Takom, their 1/35th scale AH-64D Apache Longbow attack helicopter. To say that I've been waiting for this kit for a long while is an understatement. As soon as I heard the kit was coming out, I was really excited. Started to see the test shots and CAD shots, thinking this is going to be a really impressive kit. Having built Takom models before, they've got a good reputation for producing high quality, high detail kits. Complicated, but really good kits. But it's in 1/35th scale, so it's got the versatility of the kit is immeasurable when you come to think about dioramas and just generally building a slightly larger scale helicopter than 1/48th or as big as 1/32nd. So it's that happy medium of size and detail over cumbersomeness and again, being able to store it once it's built. But anyway, that aside, really excited when I saw the kit, and when it first came on pre-order in the UK, got my name down straight away for it, and this arrived in the post for me today. So yeah, to say I'm excited is an understatement. Anyway, enough waffling for me. Let's get the kit on the table, let's get the box lid open and see what we've got inside and see what we get for our money. So we've got the box on the table, and what can we say? First impressions count, I suppose, and the artwork is stunning. Can't read the signature, but dated 2022 10, so October last year this artwork was rendered. So we've got a beautiful artwork, obviously in theatre in the Afghan mountains by the looks of it. We've got a picture of a CAD rendering of the aircraft with folded blades, and we're saying we've got the bonus blade folded kit in this release. So kit number 2601 from Takom. This is not a toy. Image may vary from one on box, well obviously so. Ready to assemble model kit, cement and paint not included, intended for collectors aged 14 years and above, so it's not for children. Well, we know that too. Snowman models, obviously a brand of Takom. AH-64D Apache Longbow attack helicopter. So a classic workhorse of the armoured cavalry. If we look on the side here, we've got three schemes. So we've got the Vipers, US Army Iraq 2003. We've got okay, so two aircraft from the Vipers 2003 and one aircraft from the Avengers, all US Army Iraq 2003. And I should imagine it probably wouldn't take much alteration to make this Royal Air Force version, as they were out there too. But you know, either way, we just get the decals that we get in the box. I'm sure they'll be aftermarket. If we look on the end of the box, so we've got a repeat of the cover picture. 03012601. So this is a model number and possibly a date code, not sure. 1/35th scale. If we look on this side of the box, we've got an overview of the sprue layouts, and then look at this side of the box here, we have the same again. So let's have a look inside. Now I haven't looked in here yet, so I don't know what's inside, so you're going to see it as soon as I see it. So top opening box is nice, possibly a little bit flimsy, but you know, can't complain. Bottom tray looks really solid, and goodness me, it is rammed, absolutely rammed full of plastic sprues. Wow, so you're going to get value for money. So let's see how we're going to do this. Try and get this so we can see as much as possible. If I move that box to there, out of frame, and we've got everything to see. So we'll just take it as the sprue comes. So first sprue is sprue R. We'll leave the instructions there. No, in fact, no, we'll go back and do the instructions first. That's usually how I do it. They're always in the bottom of the box. So, instructions come in a bag on their own, and we've also got decals, we've got some cabling of some sort, rubberized parts, and some photo etch. Now, as always, I'm not going to get the photo etch, the decals, out of the packaging because I don't want them to be damaged, but we will look at the instructions. Although having a quick look at the decals, they look to be quite well in register. So there's, instructions are massive. We've got one huge sheet of decals, and that will be for all the stencil data and the weaponry stencil data. We've got some shark's mouths, they look lovely, and we've got a whole hush of, we've got some very small pins, we'll see what they're for, and we've got 4 sets of photo etch that look absolutely divine, so we'll leave them in there for now. And quick look at the sprue. This is obviously the belting that will go down to the minigun on the front, and it looks rather nice too. So, instructions. This is going to be a long review, guys, so brace yourselves because it looks like it's a massive kit. So we've got, if you want to pause it there, if I zoom in a little bit, see if we can focus. There is some blurb. Tells you about the history of the aircraft, what it's capable of, entering service in 1995, and it's still in service to date, and it's probably going to be in service for quite a while, to be fair. So the usual first page is basic instructions you get, and then we get a parts overview of all the parts trees, and then we'll dive into steps 1, and it's starting with the cockpit tub, and this is an armoured cockpit tub on this aircraft. I believe it's designed to take a direct hit from a Russian 23mm anti-aircraft round, or there and thereabouts, so the pilots are completely encased in a bathtub type construction, and then we've also got armoured seats for the pilots and the weapons operators. So steps 1 through 2 is building up the cockpit, instrument combings, instrument panels, and operational levers for the cockpit. Steps 3, we are then moving on. Hold on whilst I sort this out. This is not working here. Sometimes you don't have enough desk space for these big models. There we go. So back to it. Steps 3, we're drilling holes in the fuselage sides for additional parts. So step 4, we're now working on the main rotor assembly. So we've got the base of the hub and the yaw and pitch controls going onto the rotor assembly leading up from the gearbox. Step 5, we're then bringing the fuselage halves together with the rotor hub assembly and the cockpit and a few other small parts, and also the dry gearbox and drive for the rear tail rotor. Step 6, putting on lots of small parts, sensor arrays and whatnot around the front end of the fuselage. Part 7, we're then building up the chain gun for under the chin of the aircraft. Step 8, we are working with belly pans, attaching the chain gun to the lower aircraft and working on the sensor array for the front of the nose of the aircraft. So it's a very modular construction, which is good for modelers because it makes it easier to build in sections and paint and then put together. Part 9, we're looking at the side sponson for the fuselage and the undercarriage, main undercarriage. So you've obviously got port and starboard sides. And then part 11, we're bringing those sides together on the aircraft and fixing the main undercarriage and you've got a little bit of forward fairing on the avionics pods, which is what these sponsons were. They're for the D model. You had the AH-64A that didn't have such large ones, and when they upgraded it to the D model, they packed a lot more avionics into these sponsons, which really bulked out the look of the aircraft. Right, part 12, we're then moving on to the rear of the fuselage and the tail boom, adding on combings, chaff and flare dispensers, more chaff and flare dispensers, grab handles, and greeblies. Part 13, we're moving to the other side. I'm imagining this is an aerial array of some sort, down the exterior of the boom, and then we've got probably some strengthening braces on the top rear fuselage, and we haven't even got to the engines yet. Part 14 is the stub wings for the weapons pylons. So we've got the port and starboard side, and then moving them onto the fuselage, and there's a few small detail parts to go on as well. Part 15, we're building up the rotor hub, the engine. By the looks of this, that looks like an engine. Part 16 is carrying through the engine to completion, make 2 of. So we've obviously got full engine detail on this, which is fantastic for those that want to do super detailing. It's all there. So part 17 and parts 18 together will build up the exhaust baffle system that goes on these engines to disperse the heat plume into the rotor wash and remove as much heat signature as possible from the aircraft, obviously for infrared guided air missiles. Moves on to part 19, where you're bringing it all together with the engine nacelle combings and then affixing them onto the side of the aircraft. It's going to be interesting doing that because it looks quite cluttered and no specifics, but it might be self-explanatory when we get to it. But it's going to be something you're going to have to take your time with and do a bit of dry fitting to make sure it goes right. Right. Part 20, we were doing the other side engine to match up with the first one we've done. So that'll be the, starboard side, is it right hand side if I remember rightly? And then parts 20, we're fixing the engine nacelle open, if so desired, if you want to do it in maintenance, or you could close it up if you want to do it ready on the flight line. We've got another nacelle under the rear fuselage, and then we're moving on to parts 20, so 22, 23 is the undercarriage wheels and aerials along the underside the rear fuselage boom. 24, we're looking at the horizontal stabilizer on the rear of the tail boom and the rear tail wheel assembly. 25, we're looking at some sensors going on top of each side of the engine nacelles, and then the rear tail rotor hub assembly, as well as an aerial antenna. And then 26, we're moving on to the main rotor hub assembly, and it also looks like we've got options between extended ready to fly or folded ready to stow, and it looks really detailed. If the parts are as detailed as the drawings, it's going to be fantastic. So parts 27, we're bringing the hub hole together and then fixing it onto the gearbox shaft and putting a sensor array on top of the rear fuselage. Parts 28, more detailed parts, and so this is the lower part of the hub mounted radar unit, and then we've got the actual radar combing coming together, all going down on top of the main rotor assembly. And you've also got to cut off some of the detail. I'm assuming this is off the main rotor assembly to fit this on, depending on what piece of equipment you are fitting. So a bit of time spent there to get it right is going to be well spent. Right, parts 29, we're then moving on to the weapons assemblies. So we've got the Hellfire missiles and the missile racks for parts 29. They look very detailed in the instructions. Parts 30, we've got the multi-launch or multi-rocket launch systems, pod systems. I'm sure there's a name for them, but they don't tell you in the instructions. And then part 31, we're bringing all these weapon systems and the ends of the stubby wings on. And I'm imagining this is going to be completing the build, and it looks like there's some small detail parts to go on the reverse of the rotor edge as well. Nope, I stand corrected. We've got parts 32 is the support for the wing fold mechanism. Parts 33 is moving that on, fixing it, getting it ready to go together. So you've got 32 is the parts that sit on the tail assembly that holds the blade, and parts 33 is on top of the blade. Goodness me, parts 34 is bringing it all together, and that's the end of the completion, I believe. Yeah. So after that we've got decal placement options for all the myriad of stencil data that goes on the airframe and the rotors. And then we have an aerial plan view and an underside view for the rest of the stencil data and some weapons data. Goodness me. Goodness me. Doesn't need to worry too much about the colour because it's all olive drab dark, basically, or matte black, so, or NATO black. So you're not really going to have to spend much on paint for this one. Crikey, what a massive instructions. Very detailed, possibly a little confusing, but goodness me. So let's get to the stuff that's in the box. Let's just go whole hog and just go for the fuselage halves. So we have two fuselage halves, obviously, left and right, port and starboard, one side, the other side, whichever way you want to call them. I will only get one out of the box because they're both pretty much similar. So first of all, they're all packed nicely in individual bags. And it's Takom's usual of having the resealable bags, which is really good for us folk that love to review models because we can seal them back up and they're just as good as the day they left the factory. So first of all, this kit is huge. If we put it against the scale on the mat, these are 1 centimeter squares. So from the tail to the nose without the array on, that is 41 centimeters long. So it's a massive model. Takom's plastic, nice hard crisp plastic. If we look on the reverse, there's obviously all the holes preset into the fuselage for drilling out, so you know exactly where you're drilling it. We've got good location marks for the cockpit tubs, that's going to position properly, and we've got solid location points for the hub assembly floor. If we turn the part over, to say that I'm blown away by the detail of this would be an understatement. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus in on this beautiful rivet detail in here on the fuselage. So in scale, very fine, but if we feel a finger of it's so crisp. Absolutely stunning. Where there's recessed panel lines, they're very crisp, they're very even. So in scale, it's absolutely amazing. Now the thing that's going to intrigue me is how, if we look here, this aircraft is covered with rivets, there's no getting around it. It's an older design, so it's covered in rivets. The tail detail is beautiful. It's very straight and not warped, which is good, and there's no flash in sight. But, and this is the big but, when we come to join this together, there's a very fine line of rivets along here. We're going to have to work very hard at the joins to not lose. It's not too bad on the spine here, but on the lower fuselage we're going to have to work very hard not to lose that line of rivet detail there. It's going to be interesting to see how well these two halves go together. In fact, I might just do that now. Seems we've got it here, we may as well go for it. this is huge. This helicopter is huge, and as I said before, I've been really excited about this helicopter. Ooh, okay. So my first issue with this, I'll show you in a minute. If we can get these sides together, is right. So, can we see the join? Come on, focus. There we go. It's difficult because we've got plastic sprue marks on here. It's always the trouble when you're doing live on camera. Let's gently hold that together. There we go, that's clicked together now. Can you see that? Come on, focus. There we go. So we have got a seam there, and it'll be interesting to see how well that closes up. It's not too bad there, but we're going to have to do some work, so there is a risk we may lose some of this beautiful rivet detail. If it goes as well together as it has right at the end there, we may be okay. It might be that, judging by the way there's a double line of rivets there, that is actually a natural panel line. And there we go. If we give it a bit of nudging and jiggling, it goes together pretty well. But this is going to be an area that we're going to have to pay particular attention to make sure we get it right. And the other thing I was laughing at when I put my two fuselage shafts together is I have got a twist on my left hand side fuselage. It's warped. But I honestly think it's not going to be a problem, because once the cockpit tub's in there, it's going to brace it all up and it'll pull back in, so it's really not a problem. And to be fair, the fit and location is lovely. If you look at that, it's not much going to need to be to clean that up. Yeah, I'm impressed with that, but the detail is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Going off to a good start, Takom. Right, let's get the clear parts looked at. I'm not going to take them out. I never do with the clear parts. However, they are absolutely crystal clear. You can see that with my hand over it and my lovely cracked finger. Absolutely crystal clear. Beautiful rivet detail, really in keeping with the rest of the fuselage. Yeah, really impressed with that. Top notch. So if I just hold that sprue there, you can see top notch moulding from Takom. Right, sprue R. So this is the rotor folding assemblies. So there you go, you can have a look. That's sprue R. Slightly softer plastic maybe than the fuselage, but very, very crisp. Obviously this is a brand new tool, so there shouldn't be any flash or anything on it. But if we look out here at the bolt detail, absolutely stunning. If we look at these very, very fine control rods or latches, absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning detail. If we look at these little wheels here, very, very fine. So this is getting to be a theme for this kit. The detail is absolutely superb. And if we look on the reverse, minimal ejector pin marks. Well done, Takom. And they're known for this. They do try and do their best not to put ejector pin marks in the parts where they're going to be seen. So for example, if we look at this part, there is some in the center. You're never going to see. The rest of them are actually on the sprue, so they're avoiding putting any on the parts themselves. So nice part. Next sprue is sprue F. There we go. Get that in focus. It's a big sprue. They're all big sprues, big aircraft though. So we've got tail rotor assemblies. Again, looking at those, absolutely stunning detail. Really, really nice, even to the airfoil shape molded into the blade. Super, super fine laminations and bolt detail. If we look at the detail for possibly the rotor head there, really, really fine detail. Beautiful recessed bolt detail here. We've got the main rotor hub assembly mast, I suppose you call it. I'm no expert in this, so please correct me if I'm saying these things wrong. We've got the bracing here. Beautiful. Minimal burring as well. There is a fraction of burring on there, but it's nothing that can't be cleaned up very easily. No flash on the blades. No ejector pins. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, really, really nice. Ooh, that one we've all been looking for, the cockpit. So this is sprue M-E. Sprue E. Oh, well, there we go. This is what Takom's been renowned for. This is absolutely stunning detail. So 1/35th scale, there's the sprue. You can see it against my hand. It's a nice little sprue. There is the rear wall of the tub, absolutely with the bursa panels, and we've got some hosing, we've got wiring. Goodness knows how they've managed to mold this. It's absolutely stunning. The cockpit tub itself, we've got all the panel work either side for both levels, so for the pilot and the weapons officer. We've got the quilting on the side panels. The instrument panel is absolutely to die for. That is amazing. We've got super fine vented details for cooling. Another instrument panel, that's probably the weapons operations station. We've got the controls. So the collective and I can't remember what the other one is now. Cyclic. So that's the controls there. Absolutely stunning detail. If I get it in frame so you can see it. Yeah, all in all, really, really amazing molding stuff. Right, we're getting through them. Sprue P. There are a lot of sprues here. And these have all been singles as well. There's been no doubles so far. So, sprue P. This is a big sprue. So we'll get that in shot for you. So what have we got on here? We've got the underbelly, where the chain gun goes to the nose. We'll look at that detail. Oh, goodness me. Very much in keeping with the fuselage. Beautiful raised detail, recessed where necessary. Very sharp, crisp, lovely moulding. We've got front of the engine nacelles here, the air intakes. We have got the parts for the radar assembly for the rotor head. We've got the front of that, and those panels, they look in funny lines, but that's actually how the panels are in real life, how they're shaped as individual panels, so they've been quite true to life. We've got a myriad of small detail parts that are absolutely sublimely moulded. If we look at these small, very fine connection points, easy to remove, you're going to need a good pair of sprue cutters right enough so you don't damage these parts, but the parts themselves are absolutely sublime. And Takom does have a good reputation for producing good quality kits, but this has possibly taken it to another level. Really, really excited. There's your main undercarriage legs. If I get them in focus. There you go. Good, chunky, solid legs, but with superb fine detail in them. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this. This is, I mean, I like Takom, but this is really to another level. Right, what have we got here? We have got sprue C. This is going to be a long review, but then it's a massive kit, and you need to take your time to look at it. It's just stunning. It really is. Impressed. Sprue C. So I'll get that shown for you. There you go. I'll move this out so you don't get the glare. Right, so what have we got here? We've got parts of the engines. So we've got the external engine nacelles. There we go. Stunning detail. Same level. Look at the, if we can get that into focus there. This is obviously slide molded. So we can get the hinge detail. There we go. Absolutely amazing. This is injection molding at a next level. Louver vented detail that is, if I look on the reverse, no it's not. So it's just very well molded, but it's not completely through. That looks like parts for the rear tail These are obviously parts of the heat exhaust baffles. There is parts for the end of the wing stub wings for the weapons pylons. Oh, just, yeah, sublime. If we look at the inside of the engine nacelles, there are some eject pin marks, but I think you can see that they're very, very shallow, easily taken care of, and I don't even know if you're actually going to see these if this is the floor of the engine nacelle and the engine's on top. You're not going to see them, so well done, Takom. Right, this is sprue E again, so it's either E or M. I'm not actually going to take this one out. It's got all the antennas. My light seems to be terribly bad for some reason. Not sure, but never mind. So, but needless to say, there is a little bit of flash. There we go. See the flash, but it's only on the injection pin parts, the push pin parts that are attached to the part itself. Very, very fine detailed parts. The windscreen wipers, absolutely sublimely molded. There we go, look at that. Grab handles, washer nozzles, wire cutter. Amazing stuff. Right, rotor assemblies. So this is sprues K and H. Again, I don't need to take them out of the packaging, but you can see at the end here you've got subtle bolt detail. They're all one-piece molded. No droop, but this aircraft I don't think had much droop in its rotor. You're going to get natural droop just with the size and weight of it. And these look to be parts of the engine baffles again. Beautifully molded, lovely raised bolt detail. Absolutely stunning. Now we're into, I'll leave that one to last because that's the weapons one. That's going to fall out anyway. We've got a couple of doubles after this one. So this is sprue N. A huge sprue, but it contains the weapons pylon wings. Right, so sprue N. Again, beautifully molded. We've got the rear deck for the main rotor assembly. We've got the underbelly for the aircraft itself. Again, if you can see that, beautifully molded, stunning detail. We've got the weapons wings, the stub wings. I'm sure there's a proper name for that I'm not using, but anyway, that's what we're calling them, little stubbies. Absolutely stunning detail. You can hear my fingernail going over it. Really crisp, really sharp. It's going to take a wash and a dry brush beautifully. It's going to weather up beautifully. Really, really impressed. And there's recessed details there as well that are very even and in scale and equal to everything else. There's the underside. Again, packed with rivet details, and these things are loaded with rivets, so this is quite accurate indeed. We've got the horizontal stabilizer surfaces with static discharges on it. So you've got top and bottom, I'm not sure which one's which. Stunning. We've got parts of the engine nacelles which have been slide molded, and you can see the hinge detail there is so fine. Absolutely amazing. Same again on these, there's a more engine nacelle. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. Really, really, this is injection molded to the next level. These are the weapons pylons here. So that's the weapons pylons. And I think that's something to do with the gun assembly, possibly there, or the optics assembly on the front, but either way, stunning stuff. Okay, engines come in two small sprues. They are sprue L's. I'll take one out. sprue L, and if we just do a slow pan over the sprue, you can see just how stunning the detail is on all these small parts that go together to make up the engine. So I should imagine with just a little bit of effort and some detail painting, you are going to be able to make up an absolutely stunning representation of the engine for the aircraft. Yeah, something else. And finally we have got the weapon sprues, 2 of them, and this is sprue V. Is it V? Yes, it's V. Again, I'll just take one out because we don't really see them both. And we've got slide molding again. So, there we go. Sprue V, absolutely rammed with detail. So let's have a look at the fronts of the weapon. So this is the front and rear of the rocket pods. We've got loaded and unloaded, or loaded and fired. We've got the pilots and co-pilot seats, which are stunning. Look at the detail here. Look at that. Absolutely amazing molding technique for injection molding. There's some quite serious ejector pin marks on the back of these, but as you can see, flicking the gun, you're not going to see it because it's going to be inside the tube. Right, we've got some more detailed parts here. I don't actually know what they are because there's so many of them, but we'll have a quick run over them. Look at these absolutely divinely molded parts. Absolutely amazed. There's the seat cushion. If you can see that, if I can capture it in the light, you can see the nicely softly molded detail to represent a ruckled fabric covered seat. Really nice. We've got what I believe, actually I don't know what they are. Say there's something to do with the missiles, but they might be. There, we've got some beautifully cone molded, shape molded there. They look like there's something to do with the missiles, but I'd be lying if I said I knew what they are. Need to refer to the instructions. Here's your Hellfires. So Hellfires, one piece molded, slide molded for the rear, and then obviously very fine recessed detail there for the photo etch fins to go on, so you're going to get completely in scale parts. It's absolutely amazing. We've got different rockets here, so they look like Hellfires, but there might be Hellfires of different make or different model number. And then we've got another bunch of rockets here, so whatever you don't use for this, you'll be able to use for something else. And then we've got the multi-launch rocket tubes here in halves. So you can have a small seam line, but it's a smooth finish. Very little rivet detail, just a recessed panel line, which is easy enough rescribed. And then here are all the rocket rails and the main attachment point to the wings that the rocket rails build onto. Well, there we go. That's all your parts. Quickly dig out. As I said, we've got these very small metal parts here. I'm not sure what they're for, but we'll have to pay attention to the instructions. And if we dig a little deeper, yeah, we'll just have a quick look at the PE parts. Now Takom, I've used their decals before and they're usually pretty good. Standard setting solutions, they're okay. Right, so this part here is your fins for the rockets. This part here is a mixture of Mercies, but those are the mesh screens for, and they're all perforated, absolutely stunning. Mesh screens for the exhaust baffles and small attachment points. We've got some fin details, hinges possibly, and then we've got some beautifully, if I hold that over the white instructions, look how well molded, or should I say molded, how well etched these grills are for the airframe grills. I'll get my hand underneath, you'll see them hopefully there. Absolutely stunning stuff. So there we go, that's all the kit parts. Poof, what a mountain of stuff. And we're half an hour into the review. So let me get all this stuff packed into the box, and then we'll get back on me and we'll sum up with some conclusions. Yeah, so finally we've got a sprue that I've actually forgot to do. I have to be careful here, so I won't actually break anything here, so it's just gone crack. I need to get a knife, so let me move those out of the way. Get a scalpel just to cut this bit of tape that's here. There we go. So that's been rolled up tightly. And this is the sprue that we should have done before I turned the camera off to go back to the table. There we go. And these are quite important parts because, oh, we've got the avionics nacelles. So it doesn't actually say this is part A1 and this is part C1. Look at that, isn't that amazing? Possibly lacking the cabling, but you've got the avionics boxes and all the cable junctions there, so plenty of opportunity to super detail that up. A little bit of a poor mark there, that'll easily go. Lovely, lovely engraved hinge detail, raised rivets where needed, a little bit subtle on the bottom here. You can see that in focus, but it's still there. And then obviously a strong attachment point for the undercarriage. And then this is the rear grille. And they've got those photo etch grills to go over that. And then we've got the front fairing here. So we've got two parts the same. There's the other avionics bay. Again, if you want to have that open, you need to do a little detail with wiring. I'm sure anybody that gets a little bit of lead wire can soon make up the wiring harnesses with some reference photographs to get that looking just tip top. Come on, focus. Come on. There you go. Absolutely stunning. And then we have, this will be, this will possibly be details for the chain gun and the noses sensor array, possibly, or maybe the engine, not sure, but they're beautifully molded, whatever parts they are. So we've got E1 and G1 times 2. Oh no, we've got E1, G1, F1, H1. So beautifully, stunningly molded parts. Yeah, really, really impressive. So this time we definitely will get it all packed away, go back onto me, and we'll conclude. So there we are, Takom's 1/35th scale AH-64D Apache Longbow. Right, thoughts. Wow. I know I say this all the time, but goodness me. What an absolutely stunning kit in the box. Detail is sublime, moulding is sublime, parts breakdown quite extensive. There's an awful lot of parts there, so it's definitely not for a beginner or possibly even you know, an intermediate build. This is more of an advanced build that's going to go on here. You really are going to need to know your stuff with regards to removing parts, cleaning parts, sub-assemblies, painting, weathering, detailing. There's always, not always, there's also more detail or more options in the kit to detail it further. If you looked at the avionics bays, there's obviously options for laying in wiring looms. You can display the engines open and make sure you get all the detail in the engine bays. Put it in maintenance. The options are endless, and it's 1/35th scale, so it matches in with the bulk of armor kits today. Yes, I do know there's an increase in 1/48 scale, and that'll match in with the existing 48 scale Apaches, but up until now the only 35th scale Apache, as far as I'm aware, has been the Revell kit, which has definitely shown its age, and it's not a patch on this. So definitely a kit for someone who's built a few models, and I'd even recommend you go and buy and build a Takom armor model before you tackle this, because I've built some Takom armor. It's very detailed and it's similar in construction layout to the way they've done the instructions in the parts breakdown on this. So if you can get your head around that, you should be able to get your head around this. But don't tackle this as your first helicopter build. You're going to get snowed under and it'll end up going on the shelf of doom. This is a kit that you need to start and finish. It's crying out for being on the display shelf. Price wise, not the cheapest of kits. Takom's not renowned for having exorbitantly expensive prices, but this one I think is retailing in the UK between the £80 and £90 mark. You might be able to get it cheaper. I was lucky, I put my name down for this a long time ago on pre-order and got it for the initial pre-order price, which was significantly less as what it's retailing for now. So I've had a bit of a bargain on this and saved a bit of money. I can't buy the kit now from what I got it for when it was pre-order, so I'm really grateful on that. I'm grateful for the company I ordered it from. I'll give them a plug. It's Jumblies Models. Great service. Order was completed, kit was sent to me record quick time, arrived well packaged with air packaging and very, very quick. So there's a little plug, and this isn't a sponsored review at all because I've paid for this kit and they didn't know I was going to do this or mention them, but I'll drop them a line because I've actually bought a few kits from them and their service is second to none. So if you are interested, drop along because their actual retail price is still pretty keen compared to the rest of the market. So do I recommend this kit? Well, yes I do, with the caveat that it's for someone that's got a bit of experience and is understanding on what a complex model build is going to be, because this is going to be a complex model build. However, it's going to be a stunning model when it's finished and it'll be fantastic on the display shelf. And you've also got the bonus that you've got the wing fold kit in this, or the rotor fold kit in this. So if you are stuck for space, can't have the rotors displayed out, you can fold them and you're going to save yourself a lump of space. So this aircraft is definitely going to get built. When, I don't know. It's going to get built along with my Academy AH-64D Zulu, the attack aircraft, the Viper, and I'm going to have them side by side. So you've got a Marine Corps attack helicopter and a US Army Air Corps attack helicopter. Two iconic aircraft, but this one is definitely an iconic aircraft, revered or feared, whichever side you're on it, but definitely something that's going to be flying for a very long time to come, and something that's going to capture the imagination of an awful lot of models around the world. So highly recommended. Go out, get one and give it a go. So if you've gotten this far, thanks very much for watching. As always, if you like what you see, thumbs up, subscribe, usual nonsense. If you have any questions you want to put to me, feel free to put them down. I always take time to read them and I will reply to them, and I appreciate if anyone takes the time to write a question to me. So that's all for now, guys. Until next time, happy modelling, take care, and cheers.